Hey folks, Undead Dwarf here, and in case you don't know, I'm a fairly big Legacy Enchantress player. Not that I have any like records or anything to my name or whatever, but I like to play. I've been playing the deck for at least 5, 6, probably longer years. I'm also in the process of getting majority of the deck signed, if not the entire deck. This exact list plus a few other select cards. So I'm going to start with the mana base in a minute, but I like to play the classic green-white style prison deck, and the main difference between that and everything else is I'm a little bit more defensive and slightly more streamlined in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to say Living Wish version's more consistent, blah blah blah, but when you're in a metagame with miracles and such, and a lot of Force of Wills, and a lot of counter spells, relying on a sideboard doesn't really work out well, in my opinion. When you have to rely on the Living Wish, which you have to cast with minimal or no protection main deck, and then hope that it resolves into you getting probably Emrakul or whatever. I don't know what sideboard cards you want to play. Because some of the Living Wish decks for Enchantress don't have a main deck win condition, and I absolutely hate that. I think you should at least have one Emrakul main deck if you're going to do that game plan. Now, again, nothing against Living Wish versions, because obviously they work. Same as Doomlake versions work. Same as the Turbo decks work, the old school green, blue, Tabernacle, Turbo deck, or not really Turbo, but Words of Wind, the Words of War versions work. So, like the Naya versions, the 4-color versions work. All versions of Enchantress will work. I, however, like the original style gameplay of the green-white. I don't like Doomweight in the deck. I have my issues with it. I respect that it exists though. But anyways, back to the whole deck list here. So I play with 3 win conditions. I'm just going to rearrange this really fast. I know that made it a little more awkward, but so my 3 win conditions are the Sigil of the Empty Throne. So whenever you're playing Enchantress, or Enchantment, sorry, you get a 4/4 Angel. You play Emrakul, obviously. You know, 15/15 uncountable creatures are pretty good. And you do the whole Rip Album combo. So Rest in Peace exiles all the graveyards, and Helm of Obedience. You take top cards of your opponent's library until they either hit a creature or X cards per new graveyard this way. So what you're normally doing is paying 1 mana. And with Rest in Peace out, because no cards ever hit the graveyard, they get exiled instead. It goes infinite. Now, if Rest in Peace is destroyed, obviously, you can do it the old-fashioned way and just mill them 60 if they don't have creatures. Which used to be the game plan against the Miracles for a while. Because they stopped playing the Snapcaster for a bit, they stopped mentoring and all that. But all that's back in the game, so yeah. Rest in Peace is slightly better. So I'm going to resort this, and yeah. So we're going to hide Emrakul, because it doesn't really matter. So the lands, I like to have a lot more basics in my decks. I'm using revised basics here. I use unglued and paper. I just like the full art versions. I run 3 Serra Sanctums, which is the best land of the deck. Get to have 1 white for each enchantment. I main deck Karakas. I also have only 1 Savannah, because any more than 1 Savannah I find is just not needed. And I have 5 fetches. In paper, I do a 3-2 split. Online, I just don't care about the fetches so much. It makes no real difference. And I have 1 Dryad Arbor. So the Dryad Arbor is mostly to Green Suns on 0 on turn 1, or to fetch later on. But it doesn't really matter overall. So one main big difference in my paper and online deck is the Scarpet Flowers. In paper, it's a ground seal, which, if you don't know what the ground seal does, is 2 mana, 1 colorless, 1 green, enchantment obviously. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, plus cards and graveyards can't be targeted as spells or abilities. I prefer that in paper because I play a lot more lands decks and just weird fringy decks like that in paper. I know I just said fringe with lands, but you know what I mean, like reanimated and such. So the card with flowers doesn't really matter. So that's my only real change from in-deck to, or from paper to online. I also like to play 1 Exploration. It's just another turn 1 mana XL. I like to have the 13 mana XLs main deck. So 13 by 4 green suns for Dryad Arbor, turn 1 Wild Growth, or Utopia Sprawl. Your turn 1 Utopia Sprawl should always be on green in my opinion. There's very, very, very few cases where that should be otherwise. One case could be made, like if you're playing against, let's say, Death and Taxes. You go turn 1 Forest, Utopia Sprawl in white, turn 2 Rest in Peace, turn 4 Helm of Obedience game. Or turn 3 with Serra, Sanctum, or something else. But that's not the point. The point is, you know, Utopia Sprawl on green normally. And I also have the 3 Elephant Grass main. I have 1 in the sideboard. Elephant Grass is a really fun, annoying card for people. It has a cumulative upkeep, so every turn you pay 1 mana, then 2 mana, then 3 mana, then 4 mana. So you can't pay it in the next deck phase. Black creatures can't attack periods, so like decks like Allurin with Baleful Strix. Grixis can't really deal with it, Baleful Strix style. Like that type of thing. They can't attack, but non-black creatures can attack if they want to pay 2 mana for each attacking creature. Now, stuff like Death and Taxes and Goblins and Elves, not so much Elves, but the other 2 more, they can't really pay a whole lot of mana. Especially mid-game. Or early game, mid-game. So that's good for us. The only other main deck, or 1-drop card I haven't talked about is Mirri's Guile. I do the 1-1 split of Mirri's Guile and Sylvan Library. Some people just do 2 Sylvan Libraries, some people do multiple Mirri's Guiles. I do the 1-1 split because of Solitary Confinement, which I'll go to later on. But Mirri's Guile, during your upkeep, look at the top 3 cards, put them back in any order. Sylvan Library, draw an extra 2 cards, pick 2 that you just drew during that draw step, put them back, let's pay 4 life, then you get to keep it. So let's say, for example, we drew Wild Growth, Wild Growth, Wild Growth, and I wanted 2 of the Wild Growths to the middle of my deck. I can keep 1, and then pay 4 mana to keep the other one, put the 3rd on top of my deck. So on and so forth. The Enchantresses, they're pretty self-centered, like, that's the main part of the deck. So, Argothian is the only creature-based Enchantress that you're playing. It has Shroud, and whenever you cast enchantment, draw a card. Presence is an actual enchantment, so it does trigger off of other ones or off of the creature base. Whenever you play an enchantment, draw a card, costs 3 however. So a little bit minor downside to it. Then 2 copies of Rest in Peace for the Helm combo. I like 2 Rest in Pieces because of lands and like graveyard decks. I just like having the backup. Plus Miracles with AKs will actually generally force the first Rest in Peace now, I find. I also run 2 copies of Sterling Grove, which gives your other enchantment Shroud, and you can pay 1 sacrifice and search for enchantment. Now what's neat about that is, if you do that, and then play any other enchantment, and you have 1 or 2 Enchantress effects out, in the middle of casting your enchantment, you can sacrifice the Sterling Grove, tutor up whatever enchantment you need, and then draw it immediately. Unless they have some form of deck manipulation, like Thought Scour, target you with, then obviously you can't do anything about that. The only real interaction spell I have in the deck is 1 copy of Oblivion Ring. I tried running more than 1. I don't like them. I just like the 1. If I was going to play a second one, I'd get rid of the Sphere Sage, but I like Sphere Sage a lot more. I'll get that again later on, though. The 1 Oblivion Ring is just for the catch-all, like if, let's say, Jace gets to 11 counters, you want to get rid of it, or 10 counters, whatever, I forget what it is right now, 10 or 11. 3 Solitary Confinements. So, beginning of your upkeep, you have to discard a card or get rid of it. You skip your draw step, you have Shroud, and you prevent all damage to be dealt to you. Tendrils of Agony does still kill you, because of the loss of life, I do believe. Let's just quickly double check this. Or you can still die to loss of life. And you can still lose to decking if you are somehow deck yourself, either through stupidity of multiple enchantresses or whatever. Where is it now? There we go. I just passed it. Yeah, try to play to lose 2 life. That's what I wanted to double check there. I don't like being wrong when I do videos. Not that it doesn't happen, but, you know, just that way that's known. Eidolon of Blossoms is my 9th Enchantress, which can also be tutored via Green Sun Zenith. Green Suns can also find the other Enchantress, obviously, that's why it's there. And then we go to the other actual spell of the deck, which I haven't talked about yet, Sphere of Safety. So the reason why I like Sphere of Safety is for decks like Goblins and like Bant Stoneblade, the Grixis deck, Allurin, Delver, they're trying to stay low on mana sources. So if you had like 5 enchantments plus Sphere of Safety, they'd pay 6 mana per attacking creature, and they just can't do that. Plus, the card's also a great Forceful check card for 5 mana, which is a little expensive, but hey. So, the sideboard now. We have 1 Carpet of Flowers, because, you know, it's a really good card. 1 Elephant Grasp, which I already discussed. 1 Gaddock Teeg, which I normally bring in for Storm and such. But if I know my opponent's on, like, let's say, Miracles with its Fairy main deck, I will bring that in. Otherwise, I don't bring Gaddock Teeg in for the Miracles match. I find the Miracles matchup good enough anyways. Ruined Halo, again, is for, like, combo decks like Belcher and such. Just so I have a catch-all against them. Seal of Primordium, or Seal of Cleansing, the green, or the white version of it. Just an enchantment-based destroy target artifact enchantment spell. I like 2 Suppression Fields. I don't like 3 or 4. I just like 2. I've never played 1. They make like the Goblins matchup a lot better because they can't Aether Vial easy, they can't Rashad and Port Wasteland you easily, so on and so forth. We go to Choke, which again, just the blue hate card. City of Solitude is really good for the control matchups and, like, you know, Death and Taxes. They can't Aether Vial on your turn, they can't Port you on your turn. Makes it a lot easier. I'm not going to talk about this card yet. Yeah. I want to get that done at the end. 2 Krosan Grips just as catch-alls. 1 Nevermore just for combo decks normally. Storm especially. Like your Storm matchups is so weird when you're sideboarding. The second Oblivion Ring, I know I said earlier I only like the 1, but I like 1 main and 1 side. Sideboard, you never know when you want it, so like show and tell you'll want it and all that. Humility for the Reanimator / like, I'll bring it in every now for Death and Taxes and such. And I'll side out some Enchantresses. I'll keep the enchantment-based ones. And finally we come to Karmic Justice, which is a very interesting card that I like to play. So whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you get to destroy anything they have. So if they wasteland you, you can destroy a Thalia, or Lotus Petal, Swamp, Goblin Lackey, anything. Jason Land Sculptor. If they, let's say, Serenity you, which is a 2 mana enchantment. Let's see if I spelled that correctly the first time. 2 mana enchantment that at the beginning of your upkeep in white, you get to destroy all enchantments on the field. Well, depending on how many enchantments you have, you can just board wipe your opponent right back. Yeah, there it is. So during your upkeep, destroy all artifacts or enchantments, or all artifacts and enchantments can't be regenerated. Yeah, you just return the favor and wipe them out as well. So if you have, like, let's say 3 Wild Growths and then Karmic Justice, you destroy 4 permanents of theirs. Just easy, simple, fun things. I really like in, like, the Loam matchups, even though I have Wasteland, or I have Rest in Peace for the Loam stuff. I like it for, like, the attrition decks. Like, I'll bring it in every now and then for Blue Red Delver, not often, because they're more so trying to just daze you and such. But I know they're going to really heavily Wasteland me. I'll do it. Just stop the Wastelands. Even though Wasteland's not really great against us. Or against this deck, I should say. It's also really good for, like, the Goblins matchup, the Death and Taxes matchup. I would never bring it in for Miracles, but it's an option if you ever choose to. Just because there's stuff like Council's Judgment and all that doesn't really matter, because it's all sacrifice based. The one thing that you'll want to note is if you're going to bring it in for like Eldrazi or Cloudpost, it does not work against All Dust, or All Dust, whatever, because it's sacrifice effect. So just heads up. Anyways, that's the deck here for Enchantress. I know it's a little bit long, but yeah, people might not know it. I know I didn't really go into full details about like matchups and what I think's favored, what's not favored. I know a lot of people are going to question why I don't have like Leyline the Sanctities in the sideboard. I'm not a fan at all of Leyline Sanctities in this deck. I would much rather just admit that I'm going to lose to Belcher and Storm on turn 1 plays than to just say I need to mulligan down to Leyline Sanctity. I know the odds are very high of it, but it's just not a... I don't like the idea. And just to take it 4 cards here. Like, you have to take it like Rune Halo, probably Karmic Justice, Nevermore, and probably Humility. And it just doesn't seem great. I would much rather just my toolbox sideboard. A lot of my sideboard is very toolboxed and multi-purpose. Like, I bring in a lot of stuff that does similar things, but not the exact, with the exception of Humility and Karmic Justice. But like Rune Halo and Nevermore synergize together. City of Solitude and Gaddock Teeg synergize. Choke and Karakas Flyers work well. Suppression Fields work well. You know, just all this miscellaneous hate stuff. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about the deck. Hopefully, you might have learned something about this, might not. That's not really my intention. Just want to make sure people know what list I'm using. Anyways, thank you again. Farewell.